Hi, I'm Liz Larson.
And I'm Bill McKenna. We're the hosts of the New Life Perspectives radio show.
We're also the creators of the Cognomovement system, where we help you rewire your nervous system so you can rewire your reality.
Join us each week for great conversations, amazing guests, and cutting-edge information on health, consciousness, and the keys to transformation.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. I'm Liz Larson. I'm here with my friend
Bill McKenna.
Hey, Bill McKenna. And today we want to talk about aging and anti-aging. It's on everybody's mind. And I think it is probably the biggest industry in the world outside of medicine is aging and anti-aging and products and procedures and vitamins and supplements and all of that. Well, the truth is we have this secret anti-aging weapon right on our face, but most of us have no idea how to use it, right, Bill?
I love the way you put that, Liz. This is a real interesting thing. It's your eyeballs. I mean, I know everybody's listening right now and they're like, what do you mean my eyeballs are the key to anti-aging? That just doesn't make any sense. But by the time you get to the end of this episode, not only will you understand why, but you're going to understand some of the how-tos so you can begin today.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing. So let's talk about what do we mean by aging? What are we really, really talking about? Because all of us have known that one really rare bird in our life who's a really, what you would say, an old person, right? Who is not an old person at all. Like there is nothing old about them. They don't look old. They don't act old. They don't talk old. I mean, they are bright and vibrant and killing it. It's like Louise Hay used to say, and she was one of those humans, happy, healthy, happy, healthy, happy, healthy, dead. So there's that. But then there's what we consider old. And for some of us, this starts to happen in our late 40s, even the early 50s, where, we start to lose our vision. We can't find the words we're looking for. We start to forget things a little bit. We start to have a lot of aches and pains. We start to have a hard time getting out of our own way emotionally. Like we get stuck and mired down in the crap. Everything that we've experienced through life, it seems like it just makes us tired. And everybody knows what I'm talking about. You can see that tired on the face, right? As we get older than that, we notice people starting to bend, be bent over, bent forward, or slumping, or have that hump in the back of the neck. We start to see people shuffling. Another big one is we start to see people really just stuck in their ways. They're repeating the same thing over and over again, not so much because they're forgetful, but because they're just stuck in that rut, that habit, that way of thinking, that way of talking, that way of being. For some of us, as we get older, like getting us to do a new thing is almost impossible. We all know those people.
Yeah.
However, the other thing that you and I know, Bill, and our Cognomovement practitioners know, is that all of that is optional. None of that actually has to happen. And that the eyeballs, the eyes and their movement is the thing that ties it all together. It's the problem and the solution all at the same time.
So the way that this works is that the accumulation of trauma, both physical and emotional, ends up beginning to shut down portions of our brain. Dr. Daniel Amen talks about this in the brain scans, some 700,000 brain scans, I think, and you can see it. A divorce, a loss of your love of your life. It looks like you got hit with a baseball bat. And as far as a brain scan, it's really the same thing. So when we say the eyeballs, what we mean is that the eyeballs will not move to a certain place because everywhere we look is a different part of our brain. It is literally the eyeballs and the brain are literally one, not two, they're one.
Well, let's bust it back to like real basic, really simple. The eyes start moving less, period. They just start moving less. There's more of a center focus, there's less up, there's less side to side, and more down. So the lack of eye movement is the first thing that we look at. And that can happen for 1,000 reasons. The things that Bill said, emotional trauma, true. Concussion, absolutely true. Injury to the nervous system, other way, absolutely true. And then on top of that, we just stop moving our eyes. We have less reason to. We just get out of the habit, and we're not doing the things in life that we would do when we were a kid that made us have eye movement. So the underlying thing is lack of eye movement. And then on top of that, what Bill was trying to say is where eyes cannot move because of injury, emotional or physical or brain injury. The eyes
Chemical,
stop moving. Yeah.
like your surgeries. You
Yeah.
know, I didn't know it. I went through a lot of surgeries. I had no idea that being under anesthesia, that it would affect my brain. But in fact, now with this work, we know clearly, after you get done with one of those, your eyes, it's really start to be difficult to move your eyes. It's not because you're something wrong with your eyeballs, it's resistance in the brain.
Yeah. But dental work is a big one. People don't realize this, but if you've ever had a tooth pulled, you have whiplash and a concussion. I mean, that is really brutal on the head and the brain. And, if you imagine hammering on your phone in that way, you'd have some injury to it. The electronics would have some problems. So there's everyday stuff that we don't think about that causes these issues that all add up to what we view as aging. Even our lack of vision, even how our eyes start to see more and more and more poorly, has to do with not enough movement. And more than that, the way the brain is actually taking in information through the eyes. The cool part is it's all adjustable and actually pretty easily adjustable, right?
Yes. Everybody, can simply begin to rotate their eyes in a really big circle all the way around. And as you do, you'll notice parts of your vision that your eyes don't want to be. And for some of us, it turns out you actually skip vast portions. You think you're moving, let's say, in a big circle, but you're not. When you're really like, oh yeah, I'm doing it, but you're not doing it.
Yeah, that is the funniest thing when we test people's visual reference. And what we mean by that is their ability to follow a ball, their ability to actually track, and their ability to actually see in certain areas. You will see that there are big gaps. So in that spot, you really are not seeing. You're sort of functionally blind in that area, but your brain fills things in. So it thinks it'll see continuity in the movement where there actually isn't any. And what's interesting, we talked about this before, is even glasses will block certain parts of your vision. So in that area, the brain stops looking. It stops looking there because it knows it can't see through, which creates limited brain surface, limited areas that you're accessing your brain and limited areas where you can actually see. So there's all these little things that add up to us not moving our eyes and in the inability to move our eyes. And I want to just go back to our vision for a minute and eye muscles. So Bill was talking about rolling the eyes around in the head. And if you do it, it usually is very uncomfortable if you're not used to doing it, right? And you realize very quickly that there are muscles around your eyeballs that you have not used in years, right? When if everybody would just do this one thing, just roll your eyes up as far in your head as you can and notice the stretch that happens under your eyes. Notice the muscles that it takes to do that. You can even feel tension, in the brow ridge by rolling your eyes up. If a person would just practice that for 4 or 5 minutes a day, you actually get a natural under eye lift because those muscles tighten back up. We're usually looking down, reading, or straight ahead. So those under eye muscles have absolutely no reason to get worked, right? So in the anti-aging world, if you simply looked at the muscles around the eyes and knew how to work them, you would look younger. And we see it all the time, right? Just that one simple thing. But the vision part of it is the better part. Because when you start to do these eye exercises, the muscles around the eyes have a greater ability to shape the eyeball itself. Think about when you are trying to look at a screen, something small and you can't read it, you squint your eyes. It's to shape the eyeball. So if those muscles are stronger already, they're naturally doing that for you, and your vision naturally gets a bit better. And that's just the beginning. There are so many layers of how to exercise your eyeballs and the eye muscles that help your vision and help your face just look younger. It's kind of an amazing thing.
You know what? That is really an amazing thing. It it goes beyond just like this facelift type of scenario, but and you probably would be better at telling some of the science behind this. But repeatedly, we've seen people who come in and they have this gray look to their face. I call it kind of a prison. You see people come out of prison and they have this grayness in their face, kind of like, I don't even know what to call it. But after they have worked, and processed their traumas and worked their brain, the color comes back. And it's like the face becomes alive. I don't know exactly what causes that, but I certainly have witnessed it, many times. And I witnessed it in a lot of the practitioners, the Cognomovement practitioners, who have this kind of a younger look to them, And even my mom who's 80, I don't know, 86, 87. I don't know how old. Age changes every year. But but there was a time when you first worked with her, and it was really shocking. It was very early in Cognomovement, and Liz had come to me during one of our trainings, which my mom attended, and said, I think your mom had a stroke or something. Her eyes are not moving, and I'm telling her to look this way, and she says she is, but her eyes are not moving. Anyway, Liz, you got her eyes moving, and from that time, the most miraculous things happen. Now, she works every day at this, every single day, 7 days a week. It's like maybe Christmas Day is off, but she works, and everybody around her is like, what is going on with your mom? Well, some of my nieces, it's such a precious story that they were like, I think, and they're, late 20s, early 30s. I think grandma got some work done. She got some work done. It was like, No, I don't think she got any work done. There's an argument going on in the background. Oh, I think she's using that something lotion. I know she must be using that Lamay or Lamar or something, some lotion. She was like, no, I don't use it. Anyway,
It's
she's
true. She does
brought,
look younger.
yeah, she does. And it's not like just family, it's like people in business, because she runs a business, and they're all like, what's she doing? Yeah, but the thing is, she processed a lot of trauma. The
Yeah.
eyes, here's the thing that I want to point out is that underlying the eyes not moving was a significant trauma. And she birthed 12 kids. So,
Yeah.
there's just gonna be a lot of trauma there. But you got the eyes moving, and the trauma got processed, her life changed and continued to change.
Yeah. Let's take our first break and then let's actually dig into that a little bit because I think it would help people understand like the foundations of this. Like, why does the body start to look gray? Why does the face look dramatically different after even one session? Why does a person look younger? Why does their color come back? Let's talk about what the body's doing and where the energy is going before and after. And I think that would help people really understand why, when you know about eye movement and how to change things through the eyes, why it makes you look younger, why it is the best anti-aging treatment. So let's hear from the good folks at the UK Health Radio Network, and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. We're talking about how your eyeballs might be your best anti-aging treatment. So we're talking about Bill's mom. And I just want to say about Bill's mom, yes, she has access to the both of us. So she's a lucky lady. But it's not that she is extraordinary. I mean, she is an extraordinary human. But what I'm trying to say is that what has happened to her is available to really anyone who can learn this. That's what I'm trying to say. So with Bill's mom, this is coming up on probably very close to 9 years ago, maybe 8 years ago. And I can tell you that today, in her late 80s, she looks younger than she did when I first met her.
Oh, let me just back you up on that. You know what? I talked to her, and she says way, way, way better than when she was 50 or even younger. Like the quality of life. When we're talking about every aspect of life, emotional, physical, business, she just bought herself a new Tesla, redecorated her house. This last weekend, she took a plane flight for an overnight jaunt, overnight, 24 hours, just to go see one of the family, and came back. 24 hours. We're talking about, this is the type of thing I don't think I would do. It's like, all right, I want to see you for 24 hours. Oh God. Oh,
yeah, I mean, that's exhausting.
It's like, I'm being 20 years old. I'm going to go out and party with my friends, and I'll be right back.
Yeah. Something you do in your 20s. Well, she also runs a business 5 days a week. She works.
Yes.
5 days a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think let's go with this in layers so people can understand. I think the biggest thing about your mom, and she's not alone. We have many, many people who are past 70 into their 80s who have had a very similar kind of experience as your mom, who use Cognomovement. So there is not just the physical part, but that she's happier. Like, she's a happy human.
Yes.
She's a human who's had 87 years of experience and 12 children, and all the life that goes into that. But now she knows how to manage her emotions. She knows that if a big problem comes up in her life, it's not something that needs to start to gobble and drain energy, right? This is that look you see people have. There's a trauma, there's a problem. The nervous system sees it as a lion on your butt. It's the most important thing, only there's nowhere to run. And the nervous system literally drains down your energy. It's focused on this big problem that to the brain is unsolvable because the body feels so bad around it, right? So you've got this internal focus of all the energy. The body literally has pulled its field down and in, and you've got this grayness, this dark shadow. There's no vitality to the skin. Pinkness on the skin is the blood moving to the surface. And it's one of those natural vitality looks, like babies have pink, rosy cheeks. Old people have gray, dull cheeks, right? So it's the accumulation of the issues of life, both emotional and physical, that the body is focused on pulling the energy down and in rather than them being full and vital. So your mom and many of the other people we know like her, men and women, now actually know when they're feeling bad like that, they know how to use Cognomovement, patented system, the eye movements, and all the things that go along to literally free that emotion, get to a place that we call neutral. And all of a sudden, they look better, they feel better, their brain is acting better, they want to move, they want to get out and do stuff, right?
Yeah, they have the desire and the energy and the perspective to do it. We talked when we started about perspective. Well, when your eyes are fixed, you're utilizing a fixed part of your brain. When the eyes move, you're utilizing other parts of the brain. So you get broader perspective. This goes with peripheral vision as well. As that expands, the peripheral vision, more perception, more data, you're seeing different opportunities, different possibilities, different ways of thinking. And for us as humans, we're going to pick a political party, and then we're going to stick with it. We're going to pick a religion or be assigned one, and we stick with it, and we get down that road. We're going to pick, this food. This is the food I have, and you stick with it. All these things, limit, and this turns into a dulling in life. And you had mentioned Louise Hay, and I got to tell this story because it's so ridiculous. Now, Louise Hay, she was well into her 90s, and a friend of mine knew her and said, "Hey, I had published a book with her company, and my friend had said, hey, the book," and Louise read it, and she says, "Oh, I'd like to go out to dinner," and so an entire group goes out to dinner, and we go downtown San Diego, and I don't know what to expect. I've never met her before, but I end up sitting right next to her at dinner. I laughed so hard, I was crying. That's how hard I was laughing. And it reminded me, when I walked away from that night, it was the same as the parties when I was in college. Like being with my friends and laughing and being silly and having fun, and the entire experience of just extraordinary amount of fun. And Louise was really the ringleader there. I mean, she was whooping it up, and I just walked away from it like, there you go. What Liz had talked about, happy, healthy, dead. And that's the way she did.
Yep. Do you know that she died on the same day, but I think it was exactly a year later than Wayne Dyer?
Really?
Yeah. And I believe that they both just died in their sleep. And that was her plan, all
Yeah,
along.
just
She was not ill. There was nothing wrong. I think she was 97. Was she 97? Something like
I
that.
don't I don't know.
If
I
she was
don't
well
know.
into her 90s, I don't know exact, but yeah, happy, healthy. And I've told this before, which she's my hero, by the way, Louise Hay, for a lot of reasons. But she was dating, I think in her 90s, she was dating a 60-year-old guy.
I got some news for you. It was a lot younger than that.
Oh, really? Yeah,
Oh
I just
yeah, yeah.
I,
And and I loved it. It was so great. Just so fun. I mean, you
yeah.
it just as fun as can be.
So what did Louise Hay know? I mean, she knew that she could not let the things that had happened to her in life, and her life had been rough,
Mhm.
in her early years, really rough. She could not let that be the thing that stopped her from having an amazing life, right? That's what she knew. Now, you and I have created a way that really quickly a person can recognize what's happening in their body, that feeling of dread, that feeling of being stuck, that feeling of low energy or sick or any of those things, how to recognize it and how to quickly create change around it, how to get your system. And that's the point that I think people don't realize. It's not just one part of the body, the whole system goes into a kind of lockdown and doesn't let the energy do what it needs to do. It does not let your body heal. It doesn't let you have fresh ideas. It doesn't let you be in that state of joy and fun and, raucous laughter because it feels so bad. It puts all the attention on the problem state, and there's nothing left over, no energy left over for the rest. So if a person could start there, if they could start to recognize, oh, this is just a feeling that I have, even if it's pain, even if it's a lifelong trouble, it's just a feeling that my body's obsessed with right now. And if you knew the tools like Bill's mom knows and all these other people around the world who have done this work, if you knew that all you had to do was take a few minutes out of your day and show your system a new path. And a big part of that is simple eye movement. That's the first thing. Today, I was talking to a woman who's had a lifelong issue that's only gotten worse since COVID. And while she was talking to me, and it's a real serious issue for her, I recognized that her eyes just moved down and to the right as she talked about this. Her eyes stayed down and to the right and just didn't move out of there. And I simply had her move her eyes to the left and start to move them up. And all of a sudden, the opinion about that, the idea about that, the way her body looked, the way she was talking, her coloring changed. Because now a different part of her body was taking over and taking a look at that. A different part of her brain was being accessed, and a different part of the system, the overall system, was
So
being
her so her color actually changed as she
yeah,
moved her eyes up.
yeah,
That's
absolutely.
Isn't that so fascinating? Not only does the story change, but then there's a physiological change. So this is like incredible information for all of us to know that it literally all works together. And imagine the quality of life if you're stuck. And like all of us, hey man, you know, who's got two thumbs and has been stuck? It's this guy right here, terribly stuck. And you don't see any way out. But notice the words I just used.
You don't
You
see.
don't see any way out. But you know that in a long time ago, people would say, hey, look up, things are going to get better.
Yeah.
Look up. They knew. Just use a different part of your brain. Physically, look up.
Yeah, I mean, that is true for almost anything. If you look up, it changes the way that your body is interacting with your brain. Eyes up movement automatically access your ideas and inspiration part of the brain, and then the neurology that connects to the brain to change how you feel. So you're talking about the processing unit, your brain, but then the feeling unit, the thing that actually tells you how you feel about this and then sends a signal back to the brain, that's the rest of the nervous system that utilizes the body to tense or relax, to tell us, are we running? Are we scared? Are we fighting? Are we hiding? Are we free to relax? It's those impulses in the body and the sensation they create. So we have to change and recognize the system. And a lot of times the first place can be that eye movement. If you recognize, ooh, I am in a state that doesn't feel good. It's not working out. And you move your eyes up into that place that accesses ideas and inspiration, all of a sudden the body goes, oh, we're not in panic mode? Nope. Add a deep breath onto that. And now the body's like, oh, this seems very much like relaxation mode. Am I correct? Yep. Right? Stay there for a full minute and you get your body right out of fight or flight, but you can also get your brain onto a different track of thinking. And once you can get there, the system will actually start to rewire around that because it recognizes, oh, hey, there's more energy here for all of the vital things I need to do, my heart, my lungs, my brain, my hair growth, my collagen, all of that. There's more energy now available when we're not in a fight or flight mode. The body feels free to utilize the energy to do all the things that add up to what we would call anti-aging. We're up against our next break. So let's hear from the good folks at the UK Health Radio Network. And let's talk about a thing that we've described, Louise Hay and your mom and other people that we know, other older people that we know that have changed their lives. And that's being in a state of wonder. We'll talk about that when we come back. Good folks at UK Health Radio, take it away. Okay, and we are back. We're talking about anti-aging. And let's talk about what role does eye movement and wonder play in anti-aging?
So it is, this is a really interesting thing. For most people, when they age, there's an accumulation of, surgeries, so anesthesia. There's an accumulation of physical injuries. There's an accumulation of loss of different kinds, loss of love, loss of jobs, loss of all kinds of things. Even if you maintain, let's say, I gained a lot of physical financial wealth, the people that I love will eventually pass. And, things happen, all kinds of things happen as you make your way through life. So when these things happen, kind of like my mom, the eyes begin to start to have very fixed. They don't move very far left or very far right. But in addition to that, if you wear glasses or all the accumulation of other things, there is basically a diminishment of peripheral vision. And up until now, people really didn't have a way to start bringing that back. Now, peripheral vision has so much to do with your brain health and your vitality in life. With peripheral vision, as it expands, your mood will change to the positive. And the best way I can explain this, and at least in my experience and everybody I talk to, is the vacation experience. You've dreamed of the trip to Paris. You've dreamed of the trip to Papeete, Tahiti, or Bora Bora, or or maybe for you, it's the pyramids in Egypt, and you're like, oh my gosh, I've dreamed of this my whole life. And then you get there. You bought the ticket, you took the vacation, and you're there. And you're like, oh my gosh, your vision opens up. The peripheral's taking in all kinds of wonder. And this wonder, is something we experience when we're young in childhood, when you went off to school, or, all of these different things that you'd done when you were younger. Now, when you lose this and it shuts down, the Chinese, in Chinese face reading, there's a word for it, but here, I don't know if you've ever noticed it, in the corner top of the eyes, the left and right, there's a flap of skin that starts to get pulled down. You'll see people with the corner of their eyes, the skin gets folded over. And the Chinese knew, this person, a fixed and rigid point of view. and isn't it so interesting that the Chinese knew this from reading people's faces? But here's the thing, they're probably not people that want to be that way. They literally can't move. It's a big dead space over to the upper left and upper right. It's like looking through a piece of skin. No, I'm not going to look over there because I can't see anything over there. So, but which came first, the chicken or the egg? The beautiful thing about this, though, is that the simple exercises now to open it up. And with that, the joy of, you know what? That's an interesting, different way of looking at things,
It really is true. And there's so many little things that a person could do in daily life that would open up these this eye area, your visual reference. Think about a person who goes to museums and looks at artwork. Where's their gaze? It's always just a little bit up. They hang the paintings, so you're always gazing upward. That's not a mistake. It's so that you're looking through ideas and inspiration. It's intended to be inspiring and provoke ideas. So your eyes are always just a little bit up while you're looking at that. If you're a person who goes to museums and looks at things, it's always something new. There's always something interesting, right? There's always that sense of wonder. And you want to take everything in. There's that, like on vacation, it's the same. You have this feeling of wanting to take everything in. So the brain tries to utilize far more of the vision to see it. And if you watch people at a museum, you'll see them with one hand on their chin, and they're kind of looking, tilting their head left and right. You ever notice this? Tilting their head, kind of maybe looking away and looking at it with this eye, and then kind of looking at it with, trying to decipher and take in all the pieces. What they're doing is trying to utilize the whole brain to decide, what am I looking at here? Because a lot of artwork is so subjective. What are the pieces that I'm missing? And so because of that, people who do that, you will notice that they're more vital. They have more things to talk about. They have more interests. People who play things like tennis or squash, or where there's a new thing, it's called pickleball, right? You have to be moving your eyes. You're watching a target, right? Coming and going. A lot of times, you might even be using your left and right hand. You're out in the sun where that light is also getting into your eyes. So these kinds of things, or people who travel. Again, the brain's trying to take everything in. There's that sense of wonder. I wonder, what else is there here to see? And what it does, the function is that literally more parts of your brain are being accessed through eye movement, right?
Yes.
So, it's very interesting. I just watched a video and I was trying to find the name of the person, and I can't get it to come up, but I was just watching a video, and it was a guy who does remote viewing. And he was talking about um, how that your peripheral vision, what we call a non-focused vision, that it has the ability to take in infrared light. It's the one part of our vision that can see a bit in infrared. And so they were talking about how if you utilize this vision, if you know how to use it, that you can start to see things that most people can't. What's actually there, but most people can't see because it's in the infrared spectrum, which is interesting. I could go down a rabbit hole. But for the rest of us, everyday people, think about red light therapy that is happening now. You know, they say it's the happy light. People use it for seasonal affective disorder, right? Well, we have this ability naturally to take in more of that light, but we lose it as we get older. Our vision starts to diminish, especially on the sides, right? And in upper range. Everything closes in, and we don't have access to even take that light in. But if you know how to use your peripheral vision, and there's a way that you can actually expand not only your brain, but your consciousness through knowing how to activate this non-focused vision, and you can start to take in more infrared light, more red light, and it's a happy pill for people. So it creates a sense of wonder, it creates a sense of expansion, it creates these great feelings like there's all the reasons in the world to do it, except for most of us, no one has taught us how. Well, that's something that Bill and I do now with Cognomovement, is teach people how to utilize that non-focused vision in a way that really, really, really speeds up what your brain can take in, speeds up what you can see. It relaxes the body immensely. And what I think is the most interesting is there's this aspect of really becoming more of yourself, more of who you really are. And as we come to the end of this interview, I would say, Louise Hay and your mom, and some of the other people that we know that are older in age, but certainly not older in spirit, who have used Cognomovement to get their life back. It's not like they had all these things their whole life. You know, they come up into a crisis, started to use Cognomovement, and all of a sudden their life is rewound 15, 20 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we really have seen them blossom and grow as humans. But I think the biggest thing is they are who they really are. They're who they intended to be. There's no pretense. There's no fussing around about things. They just are who they are. And people love being around them.
Oh, yeah.
For that reason.
Full dance card. A full dance card. Yeah. Yeah. It is amazing. And you know, on this whole thing of stimulating your peripheral vision, literally, this is what happens in these schools. There's a few schools around the world that people can read blindfolded.
Yeah.
The way they got there is by stimulating the peripheral vision. This is super important work. I mean, it is it will stimulate parts of your brain and take you to a whole new level of life.
Yeah, it's really true. So in the anti-aging world, our recommendation is, you know, don't start with the creams. Don't even start with the facelifts. Don't go under the knife before you clear out the lifelong trauma that's been affecting your body, the emotional stuff, the physical stuff. That alone will rewind the clock. People look amazingly younger. And within that is naturally built into Cognomovement is that your eyes start moving in ways that you have not moved them since you were a child. And it returns you back to, I like to say, factory settings. You know, you get the factory settings back, that joyful feeling when you were a kid, the limber movement. We didn't even get into that, but when you do this work, the way your body moves is completely different.
The
You know,
way you walk.
yeah, the way you walk, the flexibility, you can easily reverse that slumped over look, that shuffling. That
Right.
has everything to do with eye movement and where your gaze is when you walk and habits due to physical and emotional trauma. So if you start with knowing how to clear that stuff out of your body first, and within that, naturally, the eye movement starts changing. Your body changes, your perspectives changes, your zest for life changes, your energy is different. You have the energy to get through life. So our suggestion is, don't have the creams, don't go under the knife. Clear out the stuff first. Get Cognomovement first and clear all that out and then see what you need next. I mean, you still might want some beauty products, but you're going to want a whole lot less afterwards.
Now you can go and see a Cognomovement practitioner and get on a program. It's not going to happen in one visit. Get on a 90-day program or get the self-help course, Cognomovement Essentials, cognomovement.com. You can get it. You can do it yourself, or we have practitioners around the globe that can help you.
Yeah. And if you guys really just want to see what this is about and try it on, go to our YouTube channel. It's called Cognomovement, Cognomovent. And you can try on some of these things we're talking about and really get some change there too. But you're going to want to get in and work with a practitioner most likely, or do the self-help program long term, because that's where the real change happens. And you'll see the change happen really, really quickly. We have. Anyway, Bill McKenna, this was a great chat. We are at the end of our episode. So everybody, until next week, be safe and be well. And start to notice, how are your eyes moving?